So today we are going to discuss a very seminal essay in the theory of post-structuralism, or in the main literary theory. The name of that essay is Death of the Author by Roland Barthes. Death of the Author by Roland Barthes. So this man is here, was Roland Barthes, and his full name was Roland Gerard Barthes, was a French literary theorist, philosopher, linguist, critic, and semiotician. Well, he is known for his numerous works, numerous contribution in the fields of structuralism and after post-structuralism, semiology or Marxism. Another major or prominent theorist, known for his contribution in these particular fields. Let's talk about his essay. So let's talk about his major works. The Fashion System, 1967, Writing Degree, 1968, Elements of Semiology, 1968, Mythology, that was published in 1972. Another important work. The Pleasure of the Text, SZ and Essay, 1977, Sadie, Fourier, and Loyola. It is published in 1976. Image, Music, and Text, that was published in 1977. And Roland Barthes by Roland Barthes. It's all about, published in 1977. The Eiffel Tower and Other Mythologies, 1979. And after that, Camera Lucida, Reflections on Photography, 1981. Camera Lucida, and after that, Reflections of Photography. So, what is the main thing behind this murderous intention? Intention. What is the main thing behind it? So let's talk about it. What is the introduction of this essay? Essay was first published in the American journal Aspen in 1967, and after in French journal Monatia in 1968. So here you can say that it is published in two separate places. First in America, Aspen, in American journal Aspen. After that in Monatia, that is French journal, in 1968. So here is the first quotation. I just want to quote it. Writing is itself this special voice, consisting of several indiscernible voices, and that literature is precisely the invention of this voice, to which we cannot assign a specific origin. Another concept where he is just talking about multiplicity of the voices. Here in this particular essay, we came to know that he just take reference from many cultures. Again that concept that there is no particular meaning. Meaning is what? There are too much meanings, multiple meanings, or every signifier lead to another signifiers. Okay, let's talk about it. So what are the major quotes? This is another one. So this particular essay is 7 pages long, but from this particular essay, he just got that great recognition, death of the author. Then the author is death, and there is the birth of the reader. Okay, चलिए जानते हैं, explain समझते हैं इसको. Major quotes. Contemporary culture is often tyrannically centered on the author. Okay, he just putting in a simple way that it is the Western culture who is just promoting the thing so-called author. Why? Because if you talk about previous ages, there is no thing such as author. You can take the example of Beowulf. Beowulf is in itself is a great a kind of oral literature. Oral means something that is translated or transmitted orally. So there are many famous long poems like Beowulf that is translated or transferred orally from generation to generation. Okay, and you can get one thing in Beowulf, that the writer of the Beowulf is anonymous. There is no particular writer for this poem, a very long poem. So it's a kind of a saga in itself. You can say it is a literature in itself. Beowulf. So we know that a text does not consist of a line of words releasing a single theological meaning. Again, here you just focus on the meaning. Okay. So message of the author, God, but is a space of many dimensions in which are wedded and contested various kinds of writing, no one of which is original. The text is a tissue of citations. You know, one of his major quotes, a text is a tissue of citations resulting from the thousands sources of culture. Again, he just putting emphasis on one thing, that a text is a tissue of citations. You know, you can take the example of Julia Kristeva's intertextuality. There's a term, and it means that a text is in a relationship with other text. Julia Kristeva, another major concept, and Julia Kristeva is another prominent writer. Okay, so what is the death of the author? And after that, we can find the birth of the reader. For the good reason that writing is the destruction of every voice, of every point of origin. You know, he just focusing on one thing, that text and as I mentioned previously, the text and the reader both are separate things, both are different entities. So here he just telling one thing, that there is a destruction of every voice, of every point of origin. Okay, the moment we came on to the conclusion, as we just, you know, I just want to go back, and if you talk about Jacques Derrida, you know, he is famous for a term aporia, where he said, when you just try to come on to the conclusion, or when you try to interpret a text, it is always a kind of aporia. It means a puzzle, impasse. Impasse. You are always in a puzzle because there is no meaning, and there are multiple meanings, as Roland Barthes cited, that a text is considered of multiple sources or multiple cultures. Okay, it simply means nothing is original at all. Again, that concept, cultural production take information and borrows from other pieces of culture. Nothing entirely new, original and authentic. Here he is just talking about authentication, that there is nothing authentic. There is nothing new, there is nothing latest. All the things we are just perceiving from our past, from our cultures, from where we are all getting these kinds of codes. And what kind of codes? That codes are in words, our language. And still we are what? We are doing the same thing again and again. That's why it is not authentic. And his another major concept, if you talk about post-structuralism, especially in literary theory, readerly and writerly text. Readerly and writerly text. Readerly text means there is no interference of the reader, or reader is just a passive person. You know, it is a point where you can see when you gave the whole text to the reader, you know, you are looking a text according to a author's perception. But what happened in writerly text? Writerly text in which reader totally engaged with the text or become the producer of the text. You know, this is one of the most important factor in post-structuralism, or in if you talk about Roland Barthes particularly, that's his more emphasis on which? On the reader. That now reader is the person, reader is the king who is going to interpret all the text, and he will come with the meaning. That's why writerly text in which reader totally engaged with the text or become the producer of the text. And this seminal quote from his famous book SZ. Okay. So work versus text. What is the major difference between work versus text? In his some major works like Pleasure of the Text 1975 or Image Music Text that was published in 1977. Okay, there is a essay in Image Music Text, essay Work to Text, and the name of that essay is Work to Text. And here Barthes mentioned the distinction between work and a text. Distinction between work and a text. And Barthes argued that work is a tangible or a physical object that can be held and seen, or a piece of work in author centric. He's talking about a work. Work, what kind of work? That is tangible. Tangible means something that you can touch, or a physical object that can be held and seen. Something that you can see. Okay, he's talking about here what? He's talking about the work. What is work? A piece of work is author centric. Again, that thing that if you want to take author perception, that it means according to him, a text is where the reader is active. Simply means it's reader centric and open for interpretation. So this is the major distinction between work and a text. So here work, he just mentioned that work is tangible or a physical object. But what about text? Text is where the reader is active. It means that a reader is ready to interpret the text, and he is ready to accept all the conclusions. Okay, here the reader is the king. Okay, there is no such entity like author, or there is no such person like author. Okay, I am the reader. I am going to interpret a particular text. This is the major distinction between work versus text. Okay, let's go further. What is Barthes inspiration? You can see that each writer has its own inspiration. As you can see, Jacques Derrida, Ferdinand de Saussure, they have their different inspirations. But about Roland Barthes? Roland Barthes take inspiration from Jacques Derrida's deconstruction. Okay, there is no fixed center, undecidability. And he also cited Mallarmé, Stéphane Mallarmé, who said that it is a language that speaks. Again, that simple thing, that only the words on a particular page is going to matter for us. It has a particular significance, meaning. But there is no author. There is no author. And from also Marcel Proust's indistinct relationship between the writer and his characters. Okay, so here Marcel Proust is just focusing on another thing, that what is the difference, or what is the relationship between a writer and his characters. So these are his inspirations, Stéphane Mallarmé and Marcel Proust, or other than Derrida deconstruction. Okay, yes. Let's go further. From work to text, here is another quote from his major book. Text is experienced only in an activity of production. It simply means that a work transforms into a text when reader rejects authorial authority. It means you're just reading a work. At that moment, that is a work. But when you're going to interpret it, when you come to on the conclusion, after that it becomes what? It becomes a text. Okay, that's why simply means that a work transforms into a text when reader rejects authorial authority. Okay, there's no such thing as authority behind a text. Okay, a bird's on a particular page is going to define the next thing. Okay. So here is another quotation. Text is a tissue of quotations drawn from innumerable centers of culture. One of his most important quotes. Text is a tissue of quotations drawn from innumerable centers of culture. Again, he just taking example of numerous cultures. As I said that in a pre-colonial era, there is no such thing as author. If someone has to translate or transform literature, they just take a method, and that method is oral method. Okay, they sing another folk songs, ballads, and with that help, with that oral method, they transfer or translate these things into another languages. Okay, or into generation to generation. Okay, we can also interlink this quote with Julia Kristeva's concept of intertextuality, which means a text is in relationship with multiple text. Okay, a text is in relationship with multiple text, or that Numerous texts represents innumerable set of culture and references. A concept propounded by none other than Julia Kristeva. These are all post structuralist. Okay, and here you can find where is the author. What is the intention behind it? Why author is dying? So who is author? Let's come on to the factor. Who is author? If we take the example history of previous ages, we can find that many works has no authorial status. Okay. For instance, ballad or some folk songs translated from generation to generation, and the author is anonymous. For example, Beowulf, author is a modern figure. As I mentioned, that author is a modern figure. It is a Western people or Western culture who gave this term of author. Okay, why? Because they just want to gain that recognition. There is a one thing I just want to mention, that after the invention of the printing press, Johannes Gutenberg is responsible for the invention of the printing press. There are many books now they get translated easily into numerous language with the invention of printing press. Okay, so that's why the main reason that many authors just write their names in front of a text or in the open pages. Okay. Reply of Foucault. There is another essay written by Foucault. After that, his major works, and the name of that particular essay is "What is an Author?" published in 1966. An essay by Foucault. His reply is some sort of reply to Roland Barthes. Okay, he coined a term in this essay named as author function. Okay, he's not totally denying that author is dead. He's not totally denying that fact that author is dead. But here he just coined a new term, and the name of the term is author function. And it means that author is the part of the discourse. Discourse, as I just mentioned previously, what is discourse? What is discourse? Discourse means power plus knowledge. Power plus knowledge. And he just, very bluntly, he just putting in a simple way that author function, author is what? He is evolving from this particular discourse. Okay, as I mentioned the concept of docile bodies, I'm going to tell you that how you should behave. Okay, so this author, particular author, is evolving from that kind of discourse where power plus knowledge are circulated. Okay, it means that author is the part of the discourse or a type of idea that replaces author as a person, or he is not a creator of the original idea. He is not the creator of the original idea, but he is still following what he get from the discourse or power, the combination from the power of plus knowledge. Okay, this is reply of Foucault to Death of the Author by Roland Barthes. So in this particular essay, we can see that Roland Barthes just putting in a simple way his two major concepts like readerly and writerly text, and his big distinction between what is a work and what is a text. There is no such entity or no such common entity like author, or there is no such authorial status, we could say, like author or authorial entity. Author is dead. There is a one thing in post-structuralism tendency, you can say, that there's just focusing on the individualism. Individualism. Okay. There is only one thing, and that is reader. A reader is responsible for the interpretation of a particular text. And we can see that a text is a part of many references, many cultures. And after that thing makes a discourse. Okay. What kind of a discourse? As Foucault mentioned here. Okay. A reply to Roland Barthes. So here we can see we can tell that author is the superior entity. He is the only one, the only person who is responsible for the interpretation of a